I know the value of a promise because I have kept every single one I have ever made. I sat alone in the parking lot of Riverside Community Bank, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The envelope on my passenger seat contained 23 years of savings, $412,000. Every birthday, every Christmas, every milestone. I had put money into that education fund for my daughter since the day she was born. I never imagined I would be here, about to withdraw it all, not for her college graduation, but because of a court order. Let me go back to the beginning. My name is Robert Mitchell. I am 62 years old, and for the last 37 years, I have owned a small accounting firm in Portland, Oregon. Nothing fancy. Nothing glamorous. Just honest work that paid the bills and then some. My wife Sarah passed away when our daughter Emma was only 3. Cancer took her in 6 months. I raised Emma alone. I made her a promise at Sarah's funeral. I whispered it to my wife's photograph that night, alone in our bedroom. I would give Emma every opportunity Sarah and I had dreamed of. I would make sure she never wanted for anything, especially education. So I started the fund. $500 a month, every month, without fail. When business was good, I added more. When it was slow, I cut my own expenses to keep the contribution steady. By the time Emma graduated high school, that account had grown to nearly $300,000. By her 25th birthday, it had crossed $400,000. Emma was brilliant. Top of her class. Full scholarship to Reed College. She graduated with honors in economics. I was so proud I could barely speak at her graduation party. She had done it. She had made her mother proud. Then she met Derek. Derek Castellano, 28 years old. Cryptocurrency trader. Or at least, that is what he called himself. I called him something else, but I kept it to myself for Emma's sake. They got married after dating for 8 months. I walked her down the aisle with a smile on my face and a knot in my stomach. 6 months after the wedding, Emma called me. Could we meet for coffee? She sounded different. Nervous. I suggested the cafe on Morrison Street where we used to go when she was in college. I got there early. Ordered my usual black coffee. Waited. Emma arrived with Derek. That should have been my first warning. They sat down across from me. Emma would not meet my eyes. Derek did all the talking. Rob, he started. He always called me Rob, never Robert, never Mr. Mitchell. Emma and I have been talking. We found the perfect house in Lake Oswego. Amazing property, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, view of the lake. It is exactly what we have been looking for. I nodded, waiting for the point. The thing is, Derek continued, leaning forward, we need help with the down payment. The house is listed at $850,000. We need about $200,000 down to make the numbers work. I looked at Emma. She was studying her coffee cup like it held the secrets of the universe. That is a lot of money, I said carefully. We know, Derek said. But Emma has that education fund. She does not need it anymore. She graduated years ago. The money is just sitting there. We think it is time to use it for something that actually matters. Building our future. Starting our family. There it was. The ask I had been dreading since Derek came into the picture. That fund, I said slowly, was set up for education. Emma's education, and maybe one day, her children's education. But I already finished school, Dad. Emma finally spoke, her voice small. Derek is right. The money is not doing anything. We could really use it now. Emma, I said, keeping my voice steady. That money represents 23 years of planning. Your mother and I decided before you were even born that you would have every educational opportunity. That includes graduate school. If you want it. That includes your future children. We are not having kids right away, Derek cut in. And when we do, we will set up our own fund. Right now, we need this house. It is an incredible investment. The Lake Oswego market is only going up. I took a sip of my coffee. It had gone cold. I cannot give you that money, I said. It is in a restricted educational trust. It can only be used for tuition, books, educational expenses. That was the whole point. Tax advantages for education, not for real estate. Derek's face hardened. The fund has Emma's name on it. She is an adult. She should have access to her own money. It is not her money yet, I explained. It is a trust. I am the trustee. Emma is the beneficiary, but only for educational purposes. When she turns 30, if there is money left after any educational expenses, then yes, it becomes hers unrestricted. But she is 25. We have 5 more years in the trust terms. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Dad, please. This house is perfect. We might not get another chance like this. Can you just make an exception this once? My heart broke looking at her. But I had made a promise. To Sarah. To Emma's future. I am sorry, I said. I cannot. Derek stood up abruptly. This is unbelievable. You are her father. You have the power to release that money. You are just choosing not to. I am choosing to honor the purpose of that fund, I said, staying seated. If you two need help with a house, I can look at my personal savings. Maybe I can help with 10 or 20,000. But not the education fund. That is sacred. 10,000? Derek laughed bitterly. That is insulting. That would not even cover closing costs. Come on, Emma. We are done here. Emma stood up, wiping her eyes. I am sorry, Dad, she whispered. Then they left. I sat there for another hour, staring at my cold coffee. 3 weeks later, I got the letter. It came certified mail. I signed for it at my office, thinking it was a client contract. Instead, it was a summons. Emma Mitchell Castellano and Derek Castellano versus Robert James Mitchell. They were suing me for the full amount of the education fund. $412,000. The complaint alleged that I had mismanaged the trust, that I had unreasonably restricted Emma's access to her own assets, and that I had caused them emotional and financial distress by refusing to release funds that rightfully belonged to Emma. I called my lawyer immediately. Frank Zimmerman had been handling my business affairs for 15 years. He read the complaint over the phone while I sat in my office, feeling like the walls were closing in. This is garbage, Rob, Frank said. But garbage lawsuits can still be expensive to defend. They know that. They are hoping you will settle rather than fight. I am not settling, I said. Good, Frank replied. Because we will win this. But you need to be prepared. This is going to get ugly. They are claiming you have been financially controlling Emma her whole life. They are going to paint you as a manipulative father who uses money to maintain power over his adult daughter. I closed my eyes. How had it come to this? Over the next 3 months, the discovery process began. Frank requested all communications between Emma, Derek, and myself regarding the fund. That is when things got interesting. Frank called me on a Tuesday afternoon. Rob, you need to come to my office. I found something. I drove downtown, my mind racing through possibilities. Frank spread several printed emails across his conference table. These, he said, are from Derek to various financial advisors and mortgage brokers. He sent them 2 months before you even had that coffee meeting with Emma. I read them. Each one mentioned the $400,000 education fund. Derek was already planning to use that money before he even asked me for it. But that was not the interesting part. Look at this one, Frank pointed. Derek tells the mortgage broker that the funds will be available within 60 days because, quote, the old man will cave once he sees Emma cry. He always does. My hands shook as I read it. There is more, Frank said. He pulled out another document. This is Emma's graduate school application to Portland State University, MBA program. She applied 3 months ago. Full-time, 2-year program. Tuition is $45,000 per year. I looked up at Frank. She is planning to go to graduate school? Planning? She got accepted. She deferred enrollment for 1 year. The deferral letter is dated 2 weeks before they sued you. The pieces click together. She knows she still needs the education fund. Exactly, Frank nodded. My guess? Derek convinced her they could get the money now for the house, and she could just take out student loans later for her MBA. He probably told her you would help with the loans anyway because you are her father. I sat down heavily. She lied to me. At that coffee shop, she said she did not need the money for education. But she already had plans to use it. Worse than that, Frank said. Look at these text messages between Emma and Derek. We got them in discovery. He showed me his phone. The texts were from the night before our coffee meeting. Derek, remember you have to cry. He needs to feel like he is hurting you by saying no. Emma, I do not want to manipulate him. He is my dad. Derek, it is not manipulation. You should be upset. He is keeping your money from you. Just let him see how much this means to you. Emma, okay, I will try. I put the phone down. I could not read anymore. I am sorry, Rob, Frank said quietly. I know this is hard, but this helps our case. They are not just wrong legally. Their entire approach has been dishonest. The trial date was set for November 15th. As it approached, I barely slept. I kept thinking about Emma as a little girl. Reading bedtime stories, teaching her to ride a bike, helping with homework at the kitchen table. Where had I gone wrong? The night before the trial, Emma called me. Dad? Her voice was small, like when she was young. Emma, I just wanted to say I am sorry this got so out of hand. I never meant for it to go this far. Derek said it would be simple. We would file the papers, you would settle, and everything would be fine. But I am not settling, I said. Because it is not fine, Emma. You lied to me. You were planning to go to graduate school, but you told me you did not need education money anymore. Silence on the other end. Derek said we could figure that out later. She finally said. He said student loans are not a big deal. Student loans are a huge deal, I said. That is exactly why your mother and I set up this fund. So you would never have to start your career drowning in debt. So you would have the freedom to make choices based on what you wanted to do, not what you had to do to pay bills. I know, she whispered. I know, Dad. But this house is so perfect. And Derek says it is an amazing investment. He says in 5 years it could be worth over $1 million. And if it is not? If the market crashes? If Derek's cryptocurrency trading does not pan out? Then what? You have no house, no education fund, and no way to pay for the MBA you actually want. Derek says that will not happen. Derek says a lot of things, I replied. I will see you in court tomorrow, Emma. I hung up before she could respond. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. I sat at the defendant's table with Frank. Emma and Derek sat across the aisle with their lawyer, a sharp-looking woman in her 40s named Patricia Chen. Judge Margaret Holloway presided. She was in her 60s, with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and eyes that missed nothing. Patricia Chen went first. She argued that the trust documents gave me too much discretionary power. That Emma was a responsible adult who deserved access to funds that bore her name. That I was using the education restriction as an excuse to control my daughter's life choices. That the emotional harm of my refusal to help them buy a home was real and quantifiable. She called Derek to the stand first. Mr. Castellano, Patricia said, can you describe your financial situation? Derek sat up straight. Emma and I both work full-time. I am a cryptocurrency trader and investment consultant. Emma works in financial analysis for a tech company. Combined, we make about $130,000 a year. And why do you need the funds from the education trust? We are trying to build a life together, Derek said smoothly. The real estate market in Portland is incredibly competitive. This fund represents a chance for us to get into a good neighborhood, to build equity, to create stability for our future family. Emma already completed her education. She has no plans for graduate school. The money is not serving its purpose anymore. Frank scribbled a note and passed it to me. He is lying under oath. Emma's MBA application is in evidence. When it was Frank's turn to cross-examine, he stood slowly. Mr. Castellano, you said Emma has no plans for graduate school? That is correct. Are you aware that Emma applied to Portland State University's MBA program? Derek's face flickered. That was just an application. She is not actually going. Are you aware that she was accepted? She turned it down. She deferred enrollment for 1 year, Frank said calmly. That is not the same as turning it down, is it? Derek shifted in his seat. I do not know the details. Emma handles her own education decisions. But you are asking this court to give you $400,000 that was specifically set aside for those education decisions, correct? It is Emma's money. We should be able to use it how we want. How you want? Frank repeated. Not how Emma wants. How you want. Patricia objected. The judge sustained it. But the point was made. When Emma took the stand, I could barely look at her. She testified that she felt controlled by me, that the education fund had always felt like a leash I used to keep her dependent. Patricia walked her through her childhood, asking about times I had made decisions for her, times I had insisted on things my way. It hurt to hear. Some of it was true. I had been strict about grades, about curfews, about college choices. But I thought I was being a good father, a protective father. Had I been controlling? Frank's cross-examination was gentle. Emma, did your father ever refuse to pay for your education? No. Did he support your choice to attend Reed College, even though it was an expensive private school? Yes. Did he pay for all 4 years, plus your living expenses, even though you had a full scholarship for tuition? Yes. Did he ever say the education fund was for anything other than education? Emma hesitated. No. He was always clear about that. So when you told him at the coffee shop that you did not need the money for education anymore, that was not accurate, was it? Tears rolled down Emma's face. I do not know. At the time, I thought I was done with school. But you had already applied to graduate school. Yes. And been accepted. Yes. And deferred for a year? Yes. So you did know you would need education money again? Emma looked at Derek. Then at me. Then at her hands. I guess so, she whispered. Frank sat down. Then it was my turn. I testified about Sarah. About the promise I made. About every deposit, every statement, Every choice to put Emma's future ahead of vacations or luxuries for myself. About the trust documents we had carefully constructed to protect the money for its intended purpose. Patricia tried to make me seem rigid, controlling, unable to let Emma make her own decisions. Mr. Mitchell, she asked, do you not think Emma, at 25 years old, is capable of deciding what she needs? I think Emma is very capable, I said. But I also think she is being influenced by someone who does not have her best interests at heart. Patricia smiled. You mean her husband? The man she chose to marry? I mean someone who planned to use her education fund for real estate speculation before he even asked for permission, I replied. Someone who coached her on how to cry on cue to manipulate me. Someone who told a mortgage broker that the old man will cave. Patricia's smile faded. The trial lasted 2 days. Closing arguments were on the afternoon of the second day. Patricia argued passion and family and Emma's rights as an adult. Frank argued law and trust documents and the clear intent of the fund. Then Judge Holloway spoke. I am going to ask the plaintiffs a question, she said, looking directly at Emma and Derek. Just one question. And I want the truth. The courtroom went silent. Miss Mitchell Castellano, the judge said. Are you planning to attend graduate school? Emma looked at Derek. Derek's jaw was tight. Answer the question, please, Judge Holloway said. Yes, Emma said quietly. Yes, Your Honor. I deferred my acceptance to Portland State's MBA program. When were you planning to attend? Next fall. And how were you planning to pay for it? Emma's voice was barely a whisper. Student loans? Judge Holloway leaned back. So let me understand this. You are asking this court to release $400,000 from an education trust so you can buy a house. And then, 1 year later, you would take on approximately $90,000 in student loan debt to pay for the education that the trust was created to fund. Is that correct? We thought we could figure it out, Emma said. You thought you could figure it out, the judge repeated. Miss Mitchell Castellano, your father set up this trust 23 years ago with a specific purpose. That purpose was to ensure you could pursue education without financial burden. You are now asking me to let you defeat that purpose so you can buy real estate, fully knowing that you will need education funding within 12 months. Do I have that right? Emma started crying. I just wanted the house. I understand that, Judge Holloway said, her voice softer. But wanting something does not mean you are entitled to it, especially when it requires breaking a trust that someone else created specifically to protect your future. She turned to Derek. Mr. Castellano, did you encourage your wife to pursue this lawsuit? Derek straightened. We made the decision together, Your Honor. Did you tell her the education money was not serving its purpose anymore? I believed that to be true at the time. Even though you knew she had been accepted to graduate school? Derek's silence was answer enough. Judge Holloway closed the folder in front of her. I am ruling in favor of the defendant, she said. The trust documents are clear. The funds are restricted for educational purposes. Miss Mitchell Castellano has not completed her education. In fact, she has active plans to continue it. There is no legal basis for releasing these funds for real estate purchase. She paused, looking at Emma. Furthermore, I am ordering the plaintiffs to pay the defendant's legal fees. This lawsuit was frivolous. The trust terms are unambiguous. This case should never have been filed. Mr. Mitchell should not have to bear the cost of defending himself against a groundless claim. She banged her gavel. We are adjourned. I sat there, numb. Frank was shaking my hand, saying something about a complete victory, but I could barely hear him. I watched Emma leave the courtroom, Derek's hand on her back, her shoulders shaking with sobs. I had won, but it felt like losing. A week later, I got a call from Emma. No Derek this time. Just her. Dad, can we talk? We met at the same cafe. Morrison Street. Same table even? Emma looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. She ordered chamomile tea. I got black coffee. I am sorry, she said before I could even sit down fully. I am so sorry. I should never have let Derek talk me into that lawsuit. I should never have lied to you about graduate school. I should never have made you feel like you were controlling me when all you ever did was try to protect me. I took a sip of coffee. Waited. Derek and I are separating, she continued. He moved out 3 days ago. I found out he has been day trading with money we could not afford to lose. We are broke, Dad. The house deal fell through. We have credit card debt I did not even know about. Everything he told me was a lie. My first instinct was to say, I told you so. I did not. I am sorry, Emma, I said instead. I know you loved him. I thought I did, she said. But I think I was in love with the idea of him. The successful investor, the confident guy who had everything figured out. I did not see who he really was. She reached across the table for my hand. I let her take it. Dad, I want to go to graduate school. I want to use the education fund the way Mom and you intended. I want to make you proud. You already make me proud, I said. And yes, the fund is there for you. For graduate school. For whatever educational dreams you have. That has never changed. We talked for 2 hours. About Sarah. About mistakes and forgiveness. About starting over. When we finally left the cafe, Emma hugged me in the parking lot. I love you, Dad, she said. I love you too, sweetheart. I drove back to Riverside Community Bank. The envelope still sat in my car, untouched. $412,000 in account statements. I did not need to withdraw it. The money was safe. The trust was intact. Emma's future was protected. I had kept my promise to Sarah after all.